I have no ability to predict why they might have done anything they did. So, all fine. I had no control over this company. These were guys who committed fraud. They conned me.
Just a few days ago, the NBA was rocked to its core when Pablo Torre dropped a bombshell that exposed Kawhi Leonard and the Clippers in a way nobody saw coming. And now the entire league is questioning just how deep this scandal really goes.
And it involves one of the 6 richest people in the world, a cardinal sin of sports, an unsolved mystery as well that I've been investigating for 7 months.
For those just joining in, here's what went down. Pablo Torre spent 7 months digging into one of the most shocking scandals the NBA has ever seen. His investigation revealed documents showing that Kawhi Leonard secretly received not $28 million, but closer to $48 million through a shady tree planting company called Aspiration, a company heavily funded by Clippers owner Steve Ballmer. Torre uncovered over 3,000 pages of evidence and even spoke with 7 former employees, one of whom confirmed that the entire deal was designed to cheat the salary cap. The so-called contract was a no-show job. Kawhi didn't post, didn't endorse, didn't even appear once. The contract only existed as long as he remained a Clipper. Fans are furious, and the NBA is now under heavy pressure. Think about it. The last time something like this happened, the Timberwolves were punished with 5 lost first-round picks. But here's the twist, the Clippers already don't own their next 5. If the league drops the hammer, this franchise might not see a first-round pick until 2035. That's why Ballmer looked desperate in his ESPN interview, while Mark Cuban jumped in to defend him, sparking even more suspicion.
At this stage, I have no ability to predict why they might have done anything they did, let alone the specific contract with Kawhi.
Steve Ballmer is worth $150 billion, built Microsoft's empire, and is seen as one of the smartest businessmen alive. Yet on national TV, his defense was shocking, claiming he was scammed by a tree planting company. That's the excuse from a billionaire running an NBA franchise.
I read their business plan. Remember, they defrauded me, they defrauded many other investors much bigger than me. But I read the business plan and said, hey, this makes sense. We made an investment in the company. So all fine. I had no control over this company.
Steve Ballmer wants us to believe he's the victim here. A man worth $150 billion, who once ran Microsoft, claims he got scammed by a tree planting company. But his story doesn't add up. He told ESPN that all the deals with Kawhi and Aspiration were done back in 2021. If that's true, why did Kawhi's Aspiration contract specifically state it would end if he ever left the Clippers? Why would an independent company care about that detail? Even stranger, Ballmer insists he hasn't seen Aspiration's bankruptcy documents that literally list Kawhi's company as a creditor, yet somehow he's been cooperating with the Department of Justice. How do you work with the feds while ignoring the evidence? Then the money trail speaks louder than words. Ballmer invests $50 million, Kawhi receives $48 million. Fans aren't buying the coincidence, and Pablo Torre points out, it looks less like an investment, more like a pass-through scheme. Back in 2019, Kawhi Leonard was the most coveted free agent in basketball. Fresh off an unforgettable championship run with the Toronto Raptors, every major franchise was lining up to make their pitch. But here's where things got unusual. According to multiple reports, Kawhi's camp, led by his infamous Uncle Dennis, allegedly asked the Los Angeles Lakers for part ownership of the team, a private jet, and even a house. The Lakers refused. The Raptors also refused. And then, in a shocking twist, Kawhi turned down more money elsewhere and signed with the Los Angeles Clippers. At the time, it seemed like Kawhi had simply chosen his preferred destination. But fast forward to now, and we're learning that might not have been the whole story. Recent investigations uncovered that Kawhi secretly received $48 million through Aspiration, a tree planting company that Clippers owner Steve Ballmer personally invested $50 million into. Think about that. Ballmer puts in $50 million, Kawhi ends up with $48 million. That's not just suspicious, that looks like a direct pass-through payment. And it gets worse. When Aspiration began to collapse financially, struggling to pay employees, sources claim Uncle Dennis personally called demanding Kawhi's money. Why would he be that aggressive over a simple endorsement deal? Why treat it like a life-or-death contract unless it was something much bigger than endorsements? That detail alone changes everything. This isn't just about the Clippers potentially skirting the salary cap. Kawhi was already on a max contract. If Ballmer really found a loophole to funnel additional millions outside the NBA system, this threatens the integrity of the entire league. The NBA has rules for a reason. The max contract exists so even the richest owners can't just outbid everyone by throwing unlimited cash at superstars. If Ballmer figured out a way to get around that, then what's stopping every other billionaire owner from doing the same? That's why the stakes are so high. The potential punishments are massive. The league could strip the Clippers of draft picks like they did with the Timberwolves decades ago in the Joe Smith scandal. They could levy enormous fines. But there's also a nuclear option on the table, forcing Steve Ballmer to sell the team. It sounds extreme, but remember, the NBA already did this once when Donald Sterling was forced out for his racist remarks. If cheating the system is proven, undermining the league's competitive balance, the argument could be made that it's just as damaging as Sterling's scandal. And if Kawhi's deal is voided? He instantly becomes a free agent. Imagine Kawhi back in San Antonio. Imagine him joining OKC or any team with cap space. The chaos would be unmatched. Yet through all of this, Ballmer insists he's the victim. He says he was scammed by aspiration. But that excuse feels hollow. The Clippers signed a $300 million sponsorship deal with Aspiration, integrating the company deep into their business operations. How does the most hands-on billionaire in sports not notice his star player pocketing $48 million for zero promotion? No social media posts. No commercials. No appearances. Nothing. And Ballmer's claim that he only talks to Kawhi a couple times a year is either a blatant lie or the strangest owner-superstar relationship in NBA history. Now the NBA's investigation is digging deep: emails, texts, bank records, even personal devices. And this isn't just an NBA issue. Federal investigators are already circling Aspiration. That means criminal charges could come into play if lies are uncovered. The scandal is snowballing, and we might just be scratching the surface. But perhaps the loudest part of this whole saga is Kawhi Leonard's silence. He hasn't denied anything. No statement. No interview. Nothing. The man who barely speaks when everything is perfect has gone completely mute while his career hangs in the balance. And when lawyers tell a player to stay silent, it usually means one thing: the truth could be worse than the speculation. This isn't just another NBA drama. This could be the biggest scandal in decades, because if the Clippers did this once, who's to say they didn't do it again? And if they did it, what other teams are hiding the same secret? The league might never look the same.